Wake up in the morning, feeling the weight of the world on my shoulders. I wanna move closer, but I don't control it. I know I've been trying, the door isn't open. I know it sound funny, but really though, in the beginning we really close. Now we just cruising up on the coast. Don't wanna lose you, I really don't. My God, I'm working so hard. I let my guards down and I'm feeling so far. You won't cut me off and I'm ready to grow and I'm ready to know you more. Please, I honestly say I'm mature. It ain't my decision, it's yours. But I will persuade with my arm, cause I'm ready to run to your arms. I just want you to know that I wanna go to a place where I find you, a place I call home, a place where I'm not alone. And maybe I'll grow just a little bit more, and I'll be adored, then I'll be adored, then I'll be adored, then I'll be adored, then I'll be adored. I go back and forth when I feel your presence. I'm above the world, there isn't much better, but then I fall levels and levels below it. Don't know where I'm going, don't know where I'm holding. I say I gave up, but I know I didn't. It's just my frustration, I'm only human. I act like I know what I'm really doing, as long as it's you that I'm really choosing. I will never give up, no, I wanna do it your way. You're the king of the world, only wanna do what you say. I know that it's possible to give back my heart to you. Do it then as you choose. I just want you to know that I wanna go to a place where I find you, a place I call home, a place where I'm not alone. And maybe I'll grow just a little bit more, and I'll be adored, then I'll be adored, then I'll be adored, then I'll be adored, then I'll be adored. I know that you love me, I really do. Just wanna do right by you till it's through. Please don't ignore me, please just adore me. Wanna be closer to you. I just wanna make you happy. A shining light looking right at me. I give to you gladly, that's my reaction. I just want you to know that I wanna go to a place where I find you, a place I call home, a place where I'm not alone. And maybe I'll grow just a little bit more, and I'll be adored, then I'll be adored, then I'll be adored, then I'll be adored, then I'll be adored.
Okay.
MITM Business Consultants comes Man in the Middle, your one-stop shop for financial tips and tricks that big banks and corporate America won't teach you and don't want you to know. Discussing the latest and greatest products, services, skills, and habits to grow and support the financial needs of your business and you. Giving you the knowledge to help make your own important choices for your business and you.
Disclaimer. Man in the Middle expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, reliance on, or inability to use this podcast or the information presented in this podcast.
Now, here is your Man in the Middle, with 10 years of experience in the financial and banking industry, Art Abrahamian.
What is going on, everybody? Good to be back. Episode 24, 1 year later, Man in the Middle. The title reads, I didn't create it, but I don't mind it. It says, half the man, half amazing. Before we get started, obviously we want to thank our sponsor, USCCA. And we're going to watch a quick little video, the usual, and we'll get into it right after.
It's in our nature to protect the ones we love, to stand up to any danger, to be strong and courageous, to always be prepared, to keep our family safe, to be the first line of defense. We are born to protect.
Well, I always say it, but it's always giving me chills. I want to thank USCCA for being a sponsor. And if you want to know more about USCCA, go ahead and click the link below. I want to introduce everybody to Kendall, the man, the myth, the legend. We appreciate him helping out with setting everything up. If you want to just give him a little introduction, go ahead, Kendall. Tell us about yourself.
What's going on, everyone out there? My name is Kendall Henderson, but a lot of my peeps, friends call me K-Doz as well. So basically my background is I've done some marketing, a lot of videography, a lot of social media marketing. I also work with kids as well. So, a lot of my passions there. And this awesome gentleman here, Mr. Art, of course, has given me an opportunity to work with him on this podcast, The Man in the Middle, and this is The Man in the Middle.
I appreciate that.
So we're going to get to it.
Yeah, today's going to be kind of just a a recap. It's been a while.
Yes, it has.
I look a lot different, 200 pounds down. I haven't done one of these in a year. Payson's black now. No, and Payson's great. He's just, he's so busy with his real estate business where it's like it just became a between me getting the company situated and all the growth and everything associated with it. It just schedules were very conflicting. So, I reached out to Kendall and I was like, hey man, I want to get this thing back up because I missed this podcast. So, yeah, that's what we're going to be just talking about today is all the changes, what to expect, some things to come. I don't know if we'll delve into some financial topics. We might, maybe just some tips and tricks. And, I could even share some of my own experience trying to rebuild the podcast from constantly being gone for about a year. So, yeah.
You know what, Art? I think we should really get into why I chose the title, guys. So if it's lame to you, it's not Art, it's me. So anything production wise, you can definitely blame Kendall. Okay. But it's gonna be awesome. All right. So I think we should really, get into why I titled it Half the Man, Half the Mason.
Sure.
And I probably shouldn't have put half amazing because this dude is really fully amazing. This is an amazing dude right here. So I really think, Art, let's talk to the people real quick about, why it's been a year.
Yeah.
So let's start with that.
Yeah, sure. So from the last one that we did, I don't know if we were in the new office yet. We were in the new office, but as you can tell, a lot of things, it was pretty fresh when we were in. So between building a new office and then outside projects and then health things, I had 2 surgeries that had to get done. Well, I had 1 surgery that got done and then started getting healthy, for my family so I could be around because I didn't want my daughter to grow up without a dad. I was pushing almost 400 pounds, so I wasn't happy. Wanted to get that situated. I'm happy to say I'm sitting at like 202 in 7 months, looking to get another 50 down to get into that 160 range. But no, it just, life happened. And I think this is a testament to businesses where sometimes even myself as an advisor for businesses found an area in my business where I had to say, it's just not the time. And I think that's very important to understand, right? Where certain businesses have a lot of cogs moving at the same time, and certain things need to be put in certain places. And between how many clients we onboarded, and between how many new employees we were bringing in, and between health struggles, and between life struggles, in between financial opportunities and business deals that were being worked on, I had to take a step back because it was becoming way too overwhelming. And one of the things I always emphasize, if anybody's heard me speak at any public events, is like mental health is just as important as financial health, and mental and financial health are just as important as your business health, because if those two things aren't in place, your business isn't going to go very far. So, I made an executive decision to pull back from the podcast stuff because it's more a passion project than it is a financial endeavor. I love doing this. I love talking to our members, to our viewers, to whoever's really just looking to better themselves as a business or as a financial professional. But sometimes the best thing for your business is knowing when it's time to step away for a minute to get everything in order so you can come back better than ever. And I feel like that's what we've done, is we're coming back better than ever.
You know what? I think I also just want to get into how much of a badass you really are. And this is not me, as the kids would say, I'm not glazing all over art right now. So, be careful with that shit. But basically, this guy's in a hospital, getting out of hospital, and he's like calling me like, when are you gonna be ready to go? Let's get started with this podcast. I'm like, dude, you just got out the hospital. Like, you need to fucking relax, dude. Like, chill. How are you doing, bro? Like, but this dude's a badass, man. He's always ready to go, and it motivates, and not motivates, because that's temporary. It inspires me. I just want to tell you inspire me, brother.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
I appreciate that about you. You had me thinking right now with what you just said about, please say that again.
What part?
Your mental health.
Oh yeah. Like mental health, a business owner has to have a lot of things, right? And everybody thinks, oh, it's money. Well, yeah, you need money to start a business, and you need some money to run a business. But you can have all the money in the world, but if your financial health and your mental health and your personal health aren't kind of in that trifecta triangle, then one's going to affect the other, and the other is going to fall shortly after that. I was doing an event with Keller Williams and the Hilgenberg Group with shout out to Roy and Alan, the guys that I did the event with. And, one of the gentlemen, Alan, he put up a slideshow, and it was talking about dominoes. And that statistically speaking, a domino can push 1.5 times its weight. And that eventually, through how a domino effect would work, is by the time you got to like the 50th domino, you could push over Mount Rushmore in the multiplicities of like that 1.5 times 1.5 times 1.5 and what it does. And by a certain amount of dominoes, which wasn't even, I don't even think it was over 100, like you could push Mount Rushmore down. And I feel just as success can be done in that multiplicity, failure and mental, holdups, physical holdups, health holdups can do the same. That domino is a double-edged sword is how I see it. Is if your health is falling at 1.5, you're not going to make it to Mount Rushmore.
Right, there you go.
If your money's not coming up, you're going to be, you're going to lose everything. So it's the same thing. I when I saw that slide, I didn't see it as just something for good. I saw it as just life, where we do one thing, but I think the weight that it carries has enough to push over something bigger, and then it'll just keep pushing bigger and bigger beyond that point.
That's awesome. I mean, and that's a great analogy. Whoever came up
I can't take the credit for that genius. One, but
well, you kind of can right now. It's your show. So,
all right. I made that up.
And another thing I was just thinking about, right? Because you guys are going to be able to see as we move forward with the podcast that, and when it comes to business and certain things, I'm pretty novice, right? So the basis of this show is me asking questions, right? I'm going to be, because Art, to be honest, is the expert, when it comes to a lot of topics that we're going to talk about. And some topics may not always be about business and finance. We want to get into some current events things, but we'll always bring it back to that, because not only do we want to give you guys education and information, but we also want to be able to entertain you too. We don't want you to be bored out of your bleeping mind, so we want to make sure that you all are entertained, but you're going to get some high level of education as well. And I'm here to learn too. That's the great thing about this show moving forward, guys. Art is the man in the middle. He's going to be giving us the education. I'm going to be learning. And hopefully you guys will be learning too, which I'm not even doubtful. I know that you guys will learn a lot. So speaking of that, Art, I do have a question.
Let's hear it.
Right? So, what really made you want to be a consultant? Like, what was the thing that you said, okay, you know what? This is the thing. Not only can I do this, but I want to do it.
Yeah. Well, the intro says it a lot too, like, 10 years in financial knowledge and banking industry, which now my financial career has gone 14 years. But I worked for a bank, and I was a business relationship manager and advised over 550 clients. The portfolio was worth over like $600 million when you combined everybody's assets together. And I used to, my job, even dealing with millionaires and multimillionaires and even people who are just starting out, was to guide them, give them the information that they don't know and help them make better financial decisions. But it was more banking related. And there became a certain point in the industry, because I started in 2012. Yeah, it was like I got hired in 11, but by the time I got done with all the paperwork, it was 12. And I was coming as the industry was in decline. So the financial institutions, because it used to be relationship based. I'm sure everybody here watching that's of age knows, like, there was a certain point where your banker was your guy and he had your back, and it wasn't about credit cards and 30 savings account and 30 checking accounts and 12 debit cards. And there was a certain point where it was like, do what's right for the customer. And that was a thing for I don't want to say the majority of my career, but for a good part of my career. And then corporation nonsense comes in, and a lot of corporate abuse and lack of care and information, and just it became, we're going to start taking the guys that are teaching our clients to be better financially, and we're just going to start putting in young salesmen so that all they can sell are credit cards, 20 checking accounts, a loan that you don't need. And, I was a big pushback against that. I always got in trouble for things like that, because I remember to this day, somebody came in, they're like, Art, because when you be somebody's banker, you build that reputation, people trust you.
Right.
I don't care what company it is. I will never put people's trust in me over or under anything. Like the credit card, I don't care. The accounts, I don't care, because I always found that if you do what's right, it'll naturally come.
Right.
And I remember one time somebody walked in, one of the clients, and he's like, "Hey, I want to buy this, $100,000 car. You guys do auto loans?" And I was like, I'm on the business side, but I know the consumer side does it, but just go down the street to the credit union. I think they're running like a 2% special right now. And I think like the best I can do is 7%. And my boss comes out of the office. So why the hell would you say that? Why wouldn't I say that? That's what's best for them, right? That's what we talk about. Because they all say that, right? We're here for the customer. We do what's best for the customer. Our customers are priority. But the reality is like, that's not true. If the customer was the priority, these banks would be making $6 billion net profit a quarter in overdraft fees and these fees and that fee.
There you go.
So industry started changing. COVID happened. It just became this whole ordeal where I'll never forget the big meeting. The regional president shows up 40 minutes late to his own meeting and goes, "Things kind of suck. just be there for each other. A lot of things are going to change, and then left. And then our bosses were meant to tell us, like, your division got removed, your division got removed, your division got removed. And I'm sitting there like, what the heck? And my boss at this time wasn't even there. He was on paternity leave. So we had a fill-in manager. And this fill-in manager is having to tell me, your job, I guess, is gone. I just found out this morning. But they were like, but don't worry. We're going to give you a base job, but the same pay. And I'm sitting there like, that's like, you're going to pay me triple what they get?
Right.
That's stupid.
How long is that going to last?
Yeah, and they just kept pushing and being super toxic. And if you don't sign, you're out. And I took a mental leave because of that, because it was just too much, man. It was too much. You bleed, cry, sweat, tears for this company, and overnight they just don't give a crap about you. And that's one of the things I think that's shifted since COVID is people's mentality of like, the company is just a company. That's when that quiet quitting started. People were just like, I'm going to come here, I'm going to do my job, and I'm going to go home. I don't care about overtime. I don't care about this. And then, as I, was on leave, I ended up getting terminated while I was on disability, which is totally illegal. So
right.
that all got handled behind the scenes. I'm not going to go into it. It's already been handled legally and everything. But states involved, this involved, everything was said and done. And I find myself like, I don't know what to do at this time. My significant other and I got a home. We just had a baby and bills and everything. And I'm sitting there like, what do I do? Mm-hmm. And there's that emotional thing I was talking about earlier where it's like that battle between me and them until I received any sort of compensation between unemployment and then whatever other legal avenues we went took a year. So for a year, I had no income coming in. And my wife was the one who was just holding it down. And she has a great job. And I say this anytime I do public speaking too, is like, if it wasn't for her, this company wouldn't exist. If it wasn't for my best friends, this company wouldn't exist. Because I went down the path of like, maybe I can't do it. Maybe I shouldn't do it. The I'm not making money. I've lost that role as the breadwinner. And I don't like this, so I'm just going to take whatever other job. And I was really good at what I did. So the offers were coming in by the boatload. So it wasn't a matter of could I find a job. It was a matter of like, do I want to do this all over again? And I sat there and I'm like, do I want to do this? And my wife tells me, she goes, I don't care if I have to work 3 jobs. You are going to open this company. And my buddies, I kept calling them like, I don't know. I don't think I can do it. Maybe I'm not good enough. Mind you, I was like one of the best in the Western region. But I'm sitting here going, maybe I'm not good enough because I don't know. You just lose that confidence because you don't know what to do anymore. You just got so used to being the same path for 10 years and you're like, there's nothing on the other side. Maybe this was it. And eventually, my best friend, he goes, shut up, go get an office, and I promise once you put whatever uniform on or whatever you decide to wear, you'll make it happen. So I did. I went out and I got my original office, which is in the podcast. So the ones who've been around for a while, if you go back, you'll see the original cubicle that I started in. And yeah, man, a couple years in and things just really started booming. And one of the things in this company took a turn too, where it was like, what do we do? And if in the beginning I was talking about doing investment advisory, and I started registering and doing this. Then I saw the splits were dog doo-doo and I didn't want them anymore. And I'm like, I'm not happy. And then, I was like, well, what did I like doing? I loved helping people. I loved taking my industry expertise. I loved taking my approach to how to solve problems and make them better. And I said, that's it. I'm just going to be a consultant. I'm going to be the advisory firm. Because Man in the Middle was originally designed to be like an Angie's List. It was originally like its conception was originally to be like, you're a professional, you'll come to me, pay a retainer, and then whenever clients look for these things, we would refer you to them. That was originally what Man in the Middle was supposed to be. But then I was like, no, I don't need to refer business. I'm not a concierge. Like I'm an expert in what I do and I'm really good at it. So I said, I'm just going to take it from there. And that's what I did. I ended up getting licensed and everything separately, my tax license, my LDA license, my accounting certificates, my distribution and I mean, you name it. I got everything you could get. And I said, there we go. This is it. And we just full force with it. And I will never look back, because watching people go from startup to successful and then knowing you had something to do with that is the most rewarding feeling. And that's what I was looking for. I wasn't looking for money because I was making 6-figure salaries. I was looking for peace and joy and fulfillment, and that's where I found it.
That's, you know what, man? Like, even hearing that, I identify with that so much, because I also come from the banking industry as well. I was in banking, and I was one of those guys that silent quit.
Yeah.
I went through that because I was just like you. I wanted to help everyone. I was the guy reversing overdraft fees and damn near getting cussed out by branch managers and regional managers. And I'll just say, I'm not going to say the company's name that I worked for. I worked for damn near every bank.
Yeah.
But every time I
screw them.
think
They
of
don't
banking,
need to know what bank it is. They're all bad anyways.
The first thing I think about when I think of working at a bank is solutions. If you know, you know.
Oh, yeah. If you know, you know.
You know.
Okay.
When you said a credit card, like I said, come on, that's 3 solutions right there.
Yeah. We worked for. It looks like we worked for the same place.
Oh yeah, and I just remember I used to call my dad. Those of you who are into sports or anything, I used to call my dad in the morning before every shift, contemplating if I'm gonna quit that day.
Yep.
For a while,
Yep.
I would call my dad.
That's hilarious.
My dad used to work for UCLA, and my dad would be, well, son, you know, thinking about the pros and cons, the same conversation. And I remember I was listening to Dan Patrick's show. If you're into sports, you know who Dan Patrick is. He's a legendary sports broadcaster. Started at ESPN. Now he has his own platform. And I used to listen to him, and then Jim Rome would come on right before I have to go in. That's when I would call my dad, and me and my dad would talk on the phone. And so he got so tired of me complaining.
He just recorded himself and pressed play and walked away from the phone. It's gonna be all right, son.
He probably wanted to. He probably really wanted to, but he said, verbatim. He said, well, son, you either gonna shit or you get off the pot. Excuse my French, but this is what he said. You know, he's like, what are you gonna do, man? Like, because I'm tired of you calling me. He was like, sometimes a man gotta stand alone. Sometimes a man has to make a decision.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, oh my gosh. But the good thing, you know, God made a decision for me. You know, because I had got a different job.
Yeah.
You know, so I got hired at another job, and I didn't look back after that.
Yeah, it's funny.
I didn't want to have anything to do with solutions anymore.
That's gonna. Those who know will know what we're
Exactly.
talking about and what place we're talking about. But yeah, no, it's just that's one of those things where it's like it might be for that might be where the calling ends for some, but it's not for everybody. I say it all the time, and I I love watching Disney movies with my daughter, and one of my favorites is Ratatouille.
Why is that?
It's because in the movie, the emphasis is like the main guy says, well, anybody can cook. And there's a realization at the end that they see it's a rat cooking and he cooks very well. And one of the critics, the food critics, writes in his journal when he's like, anyone can cook, but only a handful of people or a select group of those people can cook well. And it's like anybody can start a business. Anybody. I'm probably one of the realest advisors when it comes to like, this might not be it for you. I can tell by sitting with somebody from their emotional, how they get, if being a business owner is right for them. Because if talking about starting it is already making you fall apart, this isn't even where the stress starts. And I've always thought of people to be the same. Anybody can start a business, but it takes a certain kind of person to make a business good. And we advise over 200 clients, and those people all have that characteristic to be good. So, being good doesn't mean you know what you're doing right out of the gate. It just means that you have this certain skill set that you're willing to learn, put away your pride, and show some humility and understand that you don't know this, and that's okay. But there are people out there who can help you, like us, where we're like, you don't have to know it. We'll teach it to you. And anybody who's a client of ours can attest that one of the things I always emphasize is when you're sitting at that table with 10 other business owners and the question gets asked to you, well, what about this and what about that? The one thing that should never be said by you is, I don't know. I have a guy for that. That's the worst thing you could ever say as a business owner. I don't know. I have a guy for that. Well, then how do you know that guy's not screwing you? You don't know anything about your business. You hired somebody for that. So I've always been, I'm going to be that guy that you have for that, but you're going to be able to have a conversation. You're going to know what we're doing, why we're doing it, how it's going to affect you, and then we're going to show you reports and provide reports showing how that has affected you, and if it's gone in a positive light or it's gone in a negative light. And even explaining to clients, it's going to go in a negative light for a little bit, and then it's going to go into a positive light because there's going to be a lot of changes that need to get done. But that's one of the biggest discrepancies that I find in this industry is I have a guy for that, but you don't know anything. So how do you know he's doing it right?
Right.
Whereas you have the guy for that. That's us. Sure. But I want you to sit amongst the other businesses and be like, well, I do know that. And it's funny. I remember I watched a video, and shout outs to Chris Clare, my merchant guy. And we've worked together for a long time. And he showed a video about, it was on Undercover Boss or something. And they were asking business owners, tell us about your net profits. Tell us about your gains. Tell us about this. And the guy's like, oh, these are adults. Meanwhile, they went to these kids, these teenagers, less than teenagers, they're 10 years old, brother and sister who started a business. And I'm going to find out what that episode was because I remember we saw that video. And they're 10-year-old kids, and they're selling lemonade or whatever it is that they're selling. And they asked them, they're like, what's your revenue? And the kid's like, oh, it's 2% on everything. And we bring in about X amount of dollars and our net profit and our gross and our this. And I'm like, damn, good for those parents. They taught their kids how business works. They didn't just teach them, go out there and sell this product and then have a guy for this. It's good to have the guy for this, but these 10-year-olds were able to answer these questions where 30-year-old business owners couldn't answer this question, and they were successful. It's not saying that they were all going broke, but the fact that they didn't know their bottom line, their bottom dollar, how much they were bringing in, what their revenues were coming from, the market share that they were tapping into, but these 10-year-olds could, was the most ideal Kodak moment of so what's their excuse? They're 10. What's your excuse?
Right.
There is no excuse.
Yeah.
It's just you chose not to. You got too comfortable having a guy. And then 9 out of those 10 people that say I have a guy for that, when they eventually do make the change to us, that guy's been doing it wrong for a long time.
So they've been losing money.
Oh, yeah.
That whole time.
Oh, crazy.
Good night.
Because you don't understand what you're looking for. Of course it looks good. You know what I mean? If you don't know what it is you're looking to do, or you don't know what it is you're trying to accomplish, here's magic beans. I'm not a farmer. I don't know what a regular bean's supposed to look like. I don't know what magic beans are supposed to look like. But that guy sold them to me, and he sounded pretty convincing. It's the same thing. I mean, that worked out for Jack, though. Jack actually did have magic beans. So I can't talk too much crap on that salesman. He was a good guy. He just was a schmoozer.
No, but it's great to understand, how you got to this point.
Yeah.
To doing this because, it looks like you saw a need.
Oh, yeah.
I
wanted to bring the relationship back to the industry.
There you
that's
go.
Gone. Everybody was just a debit card. Not anymore. When you come here, you are a part of the MITM family. Our reviews speak for themselves. There's a reason we're one of the best in the Inland Empire. And I would even venture to say further out than that. That's just all we service for right now. But we have some plans to get into Orange County. We have some plans to even potentially open some offices in Utah. Because Utah as a state is becoming one of the most populated young business owner markets. Where some
Utah.
of the... Yeah. Believe it or not. So
Never thought that.
So a lot of new businesses are being started. I think they statistically were able to find that like the most businesses are being started in Utah, and they're young entrepreneurs. And the problem with that is like the AI trend, I don't have a problem with it, but a lot of people rely so heavily on it. And then again, going back to, you don't know what it is you're looking for, so you take what it says for face value as gospel. I end up having to fix a lot of that stuff too.
Really?
Oh yeah. Like, it's good, don't get me wrong. I don't use it a lot. What I tend to use it for is more explanation stuff. If I'm trying to get to the root of something, an explanation that I don't quite understand, I will question the AI to try to explain it to me in a way that I could explain it to somebody in a more basic, rundown. But I would never just go like, hey, AI, create a business for me, and then follow it.
I actually have a question, Art. So, and before we kind of get wrapped up with everyone, I would advise, unless Art wants to save this for another show, I would advise you to get a pen and paper. So I'm going to ask this question because I'm definitely listening.
Okay.
What would you say as of right now, from your expertise, right, would be, let's go with 3. The top 3 businesses that someone can start that's really like just getting started. They just want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Maybe they work a 9 to 5, 5 days a week, and they just want to start a business.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's a subjective question. I'm going to answer it to the best of my ability, because a lot of like in the beginning, and social media really affects this too, right? And everybody knows my stance on social media because it's been the same since day one. That I understand its value. I don't like it personally because I feel like it just corrupts too many things between the youth and young business owners and people who are looking to get ahead. Because I get weird calls. I've told these stories in previous podcasts. And it was predominantly like weird things like, oh, I can buy this iced out watch or this iced out chain and I can write it off. And then I'd be like, well, here's this, the IRS handbook that says you can't buy jewelry. It's not a write-off. Or if people would be like, oh, we'll bury our grandma in our backyard and we don't have to pay property tax. Like, that's not a thing. Stop watching TikTok. Most recently, had a very successful business. I play pickleball every day, 3 hours a day, except Tuesdays because that's podcast day now. And a very successful business owner, I'm not even going to say the industry, just a very successful business owner. And he comes to me and he's like, I'm going to hire my kid. I was like, okay, that's totally normal. It was, my CPA said to hire my kid. And I go, or my grandkid. I go, your grandkid? The one that was just born 3 days ago? He's like, yeah, my CPA told me to do that. I said, you need a new CPA, buddy. It's like, what is your 3-day-old grandson gonna go on? What is your 3-day-old grandson gonna go on payroll for? It's one thing, he's 12, 13, because there's a certain threshold in income where you can have them exempt withholdings, and then you get to write, they will have that income tax-free, and then you will have that write-off as a wage. However, what is a 2-year-old going to do? A 10, 12-year-old can run a social media platform, can help videotape, can help record. This poor kid's just pooping and peeing and eating and sleeping and pooping and peeing. So it's like, one of the things I asked him, I said, okay, your CPA told you to do that. And if you trust your CPA enough to do that, that's fine. But let me ask you a simple question. Somebody comes and audits and does the thing where they lift the rock. You ready for that? Oh, no, I'm just going to keep them off payroll. There you go. It has to make sense, right? So going back to your question, the social media thing has affected a lot of businesses where on the side of what's a good business, in the beginning, it was like a lot of vending machine stuff was actually really good. As a matter of fact, I had vesting in a vending machine business with a couple friends, but then it became too saturated, super saturated. Now it's very subjective where the thing goes, how much revenue it creates, how much you're paying, and there was an influx of like vending machines. Reselling is one of those things too where it's a decent business, but you have to remember that any business, regardless what it is you create, it's going to require time. So your business is only going to get so far as much time as you put into it. But reselling's an easy one. Thrifting is an easy one. So I would say reselling, getting things on clearance, putting them on Amazon or eBay or whatever. That takes a lot of time because listing those things and the fees that are associated with it are pretty gnarly too. So I would say vending machines, I wouldn't recommend it. I would say reselling. Drop shipping is cool. I actually know I have a client who does that for work, and he's very successful. He makes 6-figure, 7-figure salaries with it. However, the amount of money they have to invest into marketing is absurd. It's mainly done through like Facebook Marketplace and everything, and they create websites to make these popular items that are being drop shipped, where if you're not familiar with it, it's like these items are really popular and these wholesale manufacturers can put logos on them and say that they're yours, but they're not. They're open to the public. So you'll pay $20 for something that could easily be found for $2 on Alibaba or, AliExpress or Temu or whatever these websites are. But hey, if that's your hustle, that's your hustle. If you put lipstick on a pig, sometimes it might look like a cute pig. And that's what drop shipping really is. The third one, I would say, I don't believe in passive income. Everybody who knows me knows that I wholeheartedly say that. Passive income's there's no such thing because it always requires you to be involved in some sort of way. But if you're going to do another business, I would just say the third one, and I would put the third one as the first. The number one business to start is something you're passionate about. Doesn't matter what it is. Just find something you're passionate about, and if you're truly passionate about it and it becomes a love letter to yourself and a passion project, money just naturally comes. That's how this business started. I never went into this business for the money. I went into this business because I love what I do, and I wanted to share that. And it's fed me. I've never had a hungry night because of it. Not once. And I'm blessed to say that. But that's because I put into it what it deserves, and I get out of it what I've put in. So I would say anything you're passionate about is number one because that passion will shine through. Number two, I'd say thrifting. And number three, I would just say, reselling, drop shipping is still pretty prevalent. That doesn't require something to put in because if you're talking about putting money into something, there's, like private healthcare is big. That's a big industry, but you need money for that. That's a big investment because it's going to be about a year till you get your Medicare number, and you have to have an office, and you have to have insurance, and it's crazy. So if you're a young entrepreneur, those would be the easy three things: go to a Ross, go to a thrift store, pick things up on clearance, repost them, and then I would say don't chase the money, chase what you're passionate about. Because awesome. There's a difference between. I say this all the time too. It's like, do you want to be rich quickly and then it's over, or do you want to be rich forever? And that's where there's a difference between starting a business and creating a legacy. Where it's like, I'm not creating a business, I'm creating a legacy. And when I'm gone, my daughter will take it. And when she's gone, her kids will take it. And then that will build the institution of, MIT and business consultants to have generational families where it's like the clients of my child, my child is now advising the client's child of, the child of my client who took over their business.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I got one more question, man. And I hope you guys are taking notes, okay? Because I'm taking some mental notes right now. And we get to watch this again later. So hope you guys are really paying attention. Another question I have, and this will be the last one, guys. So when do you think is the right time for a business to reach out to Men in the Middle?
So actually, I'm happy you asked that because we have a solution for either or. I prefer, because our membership is a very good price, right? $100 membership, you get exactly what you're looking for. What happened? So, the $100 a month, you get your once a month meeting, and that doesn't mean you can't, I think it's Facecam 1. There you go. The stream deck glitching out over here. But, one of the things I will say is this, right? The $100 a month thing is one of the most affordable memberships you can get at any firm that does what we do, because there's really none that do what we do. Nobody offers a package like this. Their retainers alone are in the close to thousands just for nothing, just for saying you're a client. Where ours is whether you're new, whether you're a new startup, whether you're an existing business, whether you're a Fortune 500, the membership is just so that we guarantee your one meeting. You can have more than one if you need it, especially for startups. These guys need as much help as they can get. The one thing I wanted to create that I don't like is like a gym membership where you pay monthly, but they don't ever call you. They don't ever remind you, hey, why don't you come in? We have this special. So you just pay for something. You don't get anything out of it. That's why we have people who schedule the members every month. And whether they make it or not, that's fine. It's not going to change whether you pay your 100. You're going to get your 100. We're going to get our 100. You know, you're going to get your meeting. But it gives you access to us whenever you have questions. Because one of the biggest things I found in this industry is I came from the banking industry where we gave information out for free. And now I need to remind myself, if I just give out my information for free, then I'll never have a customer. I'm just going to have a bunch of people calling me to get answers and then hanging up. Right. And I had that experience happen with a business where they were struggling to figure it out. I gave them the solution. I said for, X dollars a month, and I was brand new. I was willing to do it for dirt nothing, just because any dollar was the dollar for me.
Right.
And it was somebody who is a friend, and it sucks to when I say what I'm going to say, because it's like, wow, a friend would say that to you, but he goes, "Nah, we're good. You gave me what I needed," and then that was it.
Oh man!
And I'm sitting there like, wow, okay, that business ended up going under pretty quickly, like within 6 months. So it is what it is. But it's one of those things where it's like a new business, love them. I'd love to help them out. Existing business that's looking to do better, love it, love to help you out. If you're somebody who doesn't know what they want to do and you just kind of want to come talk to somebody like me or any of the other people who work here to see what is available, we do that too, because we partner with multiple companies in brokering and buying and selling businesses. So we have right over there. It's an entire booklet of what's available and what's not available. And that's done through, Transworld Business Advisors who buy and sell businesses strictly, like they franchise and do everything. So I've had people come in who's like, I've got this amount of money, I want to buy a franchise. Fine. But then the ones who are like, well, I have like 12 ideas, there's going to be a certain point in when we meet where I go, I think you need to stop coming up with a million ideas and then come back when you have the one. Because it's not helping anybody that you're taking an hour of your time, you're taking an hour of my time, I'm giving you these plans, and then you change your mind. And we got to start all over, because not every plan is the same. Right. And anybody who tells you every plan fits all business, it doesn't. It just doesn't. So I wouldn't recommend somebody who has no foundation of anything business. We actually are in the process of creating a course. The course is pretty much complete, and we're going to be filming the last of the videos to get it up and running. But it is the ideal course for a new entrepreneur who's tired of their 9-to-5, and it's going to verse them in a lot of things. And it's already up on our website, but it's not completed yet. So I would hold from signing up for it. It's just up in a placeholder, but it's going to teach you everything from like what a business is, how a business is supposed to operate, what type of businesses you can have as far as entities are concerned, what are some of the benefits, the mentality that you need to have going into it. And it's at your own pace, right? And this is something that's going to have 9 modules. Well, it's 8 modules plus a final module. It has a test in each module, and it has an assignment in each module. And, I would recommend that one. That one's a little bit more pricey than our membership. That one's at $197 a month. But that's one of those things where it's like, if you only use it for a month or 2 months, that's fine. But it's going to be the best 2 months you could get out of it, because it's not one of those like, sign up for this class and we'll make you a millionaire. It's not going to make you a millionaire. It's not going to make you any money. All it's going to do is teach you the foundation that the school systems don't teach, and that most of these banks will never teach, and that most professionals don't have the time to teach. So I would say take the class first, then sign up for your membership, because at least coming to me with a foundation, I could then make that foundation stronger.
Awesome, man. I'm really glad that you answered that, man, because there's so many people out there. They feel like,
First one. There we go.
My apologies, guys. There's many people out there, they feel like, man, I can't afford to get with someone like that to give me advice. It's going to cost me thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and they're right if you go to the wrong place.
Right.
But when you come here, it's $100 a month just to get advice. We're not going to do the work for you. We charge that separately, but just for the advice, $100 a month. People spend more. In today's economy, we went and got lunch, and just one meal was like $20. So it's like, the $100 isn't as big as it used to be.
And imagine how many people are getting those same meals every day.
Exactly.
Daily for a whole family.
Exactly.
So that's awesome, man. Well, guys, This was episode 24.
That's it. We're back.
New beginning.
We're
Half
back.
the man, but fully amazing. We're going to change that title. I'm glad to be here. Again, my name is Kendall, but you guys call me K Doze. That's K. I said K. K-D-O-Z. You can call me that. Or you can call me Kendall, whichever one. And we got the man in the middle right here, Art, man. So anything you want to say, Art, before we go ahead and close this out?
I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. And next Tuesday, we will be back into our first topic. We're going to get an entire lineup of financial topics to cover. And again, we want to thank Nissim Black for providing us the music. Go ahead and check him out in the link in the description below. I want to thank USCCA for their sponsorship. If you want to know more about USCCA, go ahead and click that link below. And I want to thank Kendall and welcome him to the team. And we look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Everybody take care.
Let's get it.
Thanks for listening to Man in the Middle. If you haven't yet, please consider liking and subscribing to the show. If you can't wait till next episode, follow us on Instagram at MITM Business Consulting and online at mitm.services. There, you can learn more about what we do, how we can help, and the custom services we offer around your personal needs. Until next time, if you'd like to choose the topic we discuss and receive additional services, consider joining our membership program at mitm.services.
Disclaimer. Man in the Middle expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, reliance on, or inability to use this podcast or the information presented in this podcast.
We look forward to you tuning in next time.